Hello, I'm Roland Tipton. This is Communication or Public Speaking COM 206. This is my live audience. You have Deputy Seta, Deputy Kursick, Sergeant Teeple, and Desi. So I'd like to thank you all for coming here today. I'll only take up about 4 to 6 minutes of your time. So when I was 20 years old, I made a decision while I was in college to join the Marine Corps. When I went to the Marine Corps, I knew that I was probably going to deploy to either Iraq or Afghanistan, and I also knew that I had 3 months of boot camp and 8 weeks of School of Infantry. So everything was kind of based off a timeline as far as what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. My contract was only for 4 years. So I just remember my first night of actually meeting my drill instructors. It was chaos, pretty much. You have everything taken away from you, your clothes, your jewelry, your watches, shoes, underwear, even your hair. So while you're there, you have nothing that makes you an individual, which is pretty common for the military because they're going to break you down and pretty much build you back up in a sense. But one thing that really stuck to me is the first night that I was there. I was trying to go to sleep, and we have a podium kind of where I'm standing at right now, and we had a recruit at the time, that's what we called him. He was going to be a future Marine. He was standing there, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs, General Orders. General Orders is something that the military kind of goes by as far as, like, for us, policy and guidelines. It's stuff that's kind of stated as far as take charge of your post and stuff like that. So he's sitting there, and he's just screaming as loud as he can, as loud as he can. He's there for an hour. And then another recruit comes up, and he's just screaming just these general orders over and over and over. Well, my bed was about three down from where this guy was screaming all night. I just remember thinking, what did I get myself into? You know, I knew it was 3 months, and I knew that was going to be a long 3 months. But while I was there, something kind of changed. Not that night, not the next couple nights, is that I started thinking, this isn't so much a 3 months and then I'm gone. This is a life change. This is an experience that I'm going to be going through. I started understanding and appreciating a lot of different things, such as knowing that the guys that were in my platoon, the odds are we're going to deploy. The odds are not everybody's going to make it back. So taking that time to get to know these people when I could, being able to, build friendships and other stuff, kind of took a different view as far as just a 3 months and I'm gone. It was something that is more of a personal experience that many people go through. So Merriam-Webster defines time in the dictionary as the thing that is measured as seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This is more of what we use as an objective use of time. Something that's man-made and that you pretty much use in your daily lives. Such as an example, most people, they get up at a certain time, then they go to work or they go to school. They know what time they're going to get the break. They know what time they're going to get off, what time they got to pick up their kids, what time they got to practice, what time's homework, bedtime, TV shows, etc. So that's an objective use of time. It keeps order in our lives, and everybody uses it. So an example of my daily routine is Monday mornings I have school from 9 to 11:45. And then I go and I have about 45 minutes before I have to go pick up my daughter from school. And then after that, I have to take her to the babysitter and be at my next class before 1:45. And then from 1:45 to 2:45, I have to get out and then pick up my other daughter from school at 3:15. Then from 3:15 to 6, I have to be able to take my daughter to the babysitter. So that way I could come to work at 6 p.m., work till 6 a.m., get off, sleep for about 3 or 4 hours, and then, well, I'm a father, so I still have my kids. And that's just like a typical routine for my day. Many people have appointments, all sorts of different things that they have to throw in there also. So that'd be an objective use of time. A quote from George Harrison, a guitarist for the Beatles. It's being here and now that is important. There's no past and there's no future. Time is a very misleading thing. All there is ever is the now. We can gain experience from the past, but we can't relive it or relive it, and we can hope for the future, but we don't know if there is one. This would be a subjective use of time. It varies from person to person, culture to culture, generation to generation. Subjective use of time isn't following the timeline that people go by. It's something that changes, it evolves. Like right now, I'm using 4 to 6 minutes of your time. You may be interested, and this may not seem like 4 to 6 minutes, but for me, standing up here speaking, it seems like I've been up here for an hour because it varies from person to person with interest to interest. And that's where subjective use of time is pretty important in our lives. It depends on your moods that you're going through, your interests, and it's pretty neat in a sense because if you don't follow a timeline like a robot and you're able to enjoy things in life, I mean, life can go very fast or it can go very slow. So something that stuck with me was at my brother's funeral, I had a guy by the name of Joe Felix. He stood up. He said, "Lifetime will go by in the blink of an eye." I didn't quite understand that at 18 years old. But as I've gotten older, I kind of understand that if you think back and you just blink your eyes, you can remember a memory from a childhood or 2 weeks ago, a year ago, whenever it may be. And it just goes just like that. I mean, something that you may have enjoyed is why you probably remember that memory, but it goes by very quickly. So the older people get, they seem to understand the more subjective time, how it kind of is more important in life. Older people usually, they use a timeline, but in a sense they're thinking, how much longer do they have to live? Usually people with cancer or some sort of medical issue or people with a handicap, they think about this as subjectively. They don't think about what time they have to be at their next appointment. They think about the time they're going to spend with the people that they're around, or if they're going to go out and they're going to look at a picture or a waterfall or something. They're going to use their time subjectively because it's going to interest them. Merriam-Webster dictionary also defines time as a non-spatial continuum that is measured in terms of events which succeed one another from past through present to future. So Merriam-Webster dictionary has two different definitions of time. One as objective and one as subjective. So, as my closing statements here is that finding balance through an objective and subjective use of time is mostly going to depend on you and what you view as important in life. Hopefully you can choose whatever best fits you in your lifestyle. Just don't have any regrets in the end. Thank you.